the thing that is growing at an alarming rate is my mail order catalogue collection. So.
Okay. Hello everybody, my name is Dan Roberts and this is Real Talk. And today we've got a very special guest. His name is Rooks. He's been with the business for, God, I've never known a time for him not to be here, to be honest with you. He's here with us today. Rich, say hello, my friend.
Hello, Dan. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, man. So if you just tell everybody some of the responsibilities, job roles that you have with Real.
Well, as you say, I've been there for a really long time, so I've done all sorts of things over time. I started off in recruitment with Real,
okay,
and then ended up moving into the admin side. And then I sort of, that evolved, and I kind of got back into doing the design stuff that I used to do for Dialogue a long, long time ago.
Okay.
And so now I am design with ops support, so I'm sort of supervisor, deputy manager of that team.
Okay, so, cool, man. How did you get into this line of work? I mean, what did you do before you got into the fundraising card?
Well, it's a weird thing actually. It's like I was doing all sorts of bits and bobs. I was in London. I was doing sort of art stuff, and I had a part-time job, and then I ended up going to New York for 3 months, and then that kind of extended. I kind of came back to London, and then did another 3 months, and then when I came back, I was like, well, I don't have anywhere to live. So I answered an ad in the paper for Greenpeace fundraisers that had accommodation included.
Okay.
So before I knew it, I was sort of jumping up to people, well, not jumping up, but I was like bounding up, being all enthusiastic and asking people if they had a minute for Greenpeace. So I started off as a street fundraiser. Right. And then I was a team leader, and then I kind of had enough. And then they said, well, we've got an opening in the office to do design and materials. Do you want to do that? And I was like, fantastic. So that's how I got into fundraising, but that was nearly 25 years ago.
So that was a passion of yours before you even came to Real, then you was doing bits of work. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, and as I say, I was invited to come along to Real as well. It's like David Collier, one of the original people, were like, oh, are you doing anything at the minute? We've got a vacancy in recruitment or admin if you want to have a look. Yeah. So I kind of like went and interviewed, and they gave me the recruitment job.
I've noticed that with Real, when they bring people in that they like and see he's got a good work ethic, even if they want to step away from the fundraising, they find them something else to do under the umbrella. Yeah. So why did you go to America? I've never been. I've always wanted to go, but what took you over to America?
Well, that's a weird story too, because I knew people from. I knew people in England, and once we went over to New York and loved it, and then made some really great friends totally by accident. Then my friend who I went with spent some time there and said, well, why don't you just go over? So I kind of did. It's like at that point, my time in London was like, I need to do something. I need to kind of like shock myself out of the kind of treadmill I was on, I suppose. So I just, did one of those strange kind of crazy things that you do in life, and went to live in America with my friend for a bit. So yeah,
I've done stuff like that. I went to Australia randomly
and
New Zealand. But you know what? It changes you as well when you go to see completely different cultures in different parts of the world and stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
So I believe you're advocate for the LGBTQ part of Real as well. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I was asked for that, actually. I was asked to do that. I think because at the time they wanted to explore ideas of, kind of furthering their diversity and inclusion, and just being proactive about that.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let me kind of take on that role, and then, and it was fascinating and a bit of a privilege too to be involved in, I guess, developing policies. And also we ran round tables at that time where people would come and talk about ideas, and through doing a round table, that was suggested that some training might be useful for people that had absolutely no idea what being LGBTQ+ was all about, because they'd come from very different backgrounds. So that kind of ended up being developed into a training module.
Okay.
So so basically we have these different advocates for different areas, and we're within Real, we're always sort of there as a if people need to get in touch with us for whatever reason, then I think it's still part of the training. Well, I know it is part of the training, but we're there to be contacted if the need arises for whatever reason. So yeah.
Well, good on you, man. It's good that Real have stuff like this put in place. I think that there's somebody that's an advocate for something, or somebody that's there for support for everybody that's working at Real, whether it be LGBTQ plus, ethnicity, or even just mental health issues as well. So have you always lived in the London area, or have you travelled about? Or?
I've travelled about, yeah. So I grew up in Bedfordshire actually, and then so London wasn't so far away.
Yeah.
Came to London for art school. Was in London for maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
And then obviously went to New York, came back, did dialogue, settled in Oxford.
Okay, Oxford's beautiful.
It was amazing. I loved Oxford. Yeah, I still love Oxford. It's incredible. And then I also went to Cornwall for a little while to do a master's in fine art, and then came back to London.
I've never been Cornwall, and I really want to.
Yeah, it's
to be fair, I used to consider myself quite well travelled, but then I came to work for Real, and to be honest, that was the first time I'd been to London. When I started at Real.
Yeah. And
now I've been in pretty much every city in the UK at some point. Apart from where did we say now? Cornwall. I really want to go there because I've seen pictures of it. It looks tropical. It doesn't look like it belongs in England.
Right.
But yeah, I really want to go and do that.
Yeah.
Before we started this, I asked if you had any interesting hobbies or anything. Yeah, you said that you collect weird stuff. So could we elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, the weird thing, talk about weird. It's like I worked out that my dad was a collector. I think I've inherited that gene. So yeah, I have got a bit of I collect all sorts of odd bits and pieces, but the thing that is growing at an alarming rate is my mail order catalogue collection. So I've got I think I've got about 40 now, and they're sort of like the earliest is 1914, and then I've got them. I've got a lot from the 70s, and I've got going up to about 2002.
Okay.
So, there are little slices of social history, seeing how things slowly change over the years. I had to get like autumn winter 1976 because I wanted to find out, was that when the first digital watch appeared in the UK?
Fine, fair.
Sure enough, there it was, the first digital watch, one of the red LED ones. I think it's about £100, which is a lot of money in 1976. So, yeah.
I collect like samurai swords, daggers, and stuff like that. So, like, if anyone breaks in, they've had it. So like, I've got some really nice stuff there in my gaff. But I think it's important to have a hobby as well. It's something, it can de-stress you. As much as we do love our work and we do love what we do, it's nice to do something that's just for us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's what my nerd activity is on a Saturday morning when there's nothing else to do. It's like, I'll just kind of leaf through and like choose my vinyl flooring from 1981. Let's see just how brown it was in those days.
It's cool to be a nerd now, though.
I know.
It just means you're smart and you know more, but it's about stuff that people don't really. Like I got introduced to. Like, I've seen the original 3 Star Wars. I've never seen any of the others or the series or anything like that. And there's 2 people that live in my house, and they've been going on at me. So I just thought, right, okay, I'm off work, and I just decided to dedicate a day. I did all right, but I tapped out. I've not seen the sequel side of things. But my friend Michael, he collects what you call it, lightsabers, and he's got them decorated all around his front room. But yeah. Is there anything else that you really wanted to focus on at all? Don't worry if you can't think of anything at the moment. I know it's very on the spot.
Not necessarily. As I say, it's like having kind of been in fundraising for such a long time, it's just interesting to see how it's evolved over the years. And, it's great that it's still definitely a force to be reckoned with. And as I say, I think fundraising, it's an interesting world because it seems that people find a home in fundraising. Like they come from all sorts of different backgrounds, and people that maybe don't necessarily feel like they fit in anywhere else, suddenly they slot into the fundraising world, and it ticks all those boxes. Because I suppose the important thing to say really is I kind of say this sometimes on written pieces that I've done. The whole point of being in fundraising is, there's an awful lot of bad stuff that happens in the world, and by being involved in fundraising, you're contributing to making things just that little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and that's the whole point of the fundraisers that go out on the street. It's like inspiring people to try and change things just by the simple act of getting behind a charity and supporting a cause.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
yeah, that's
What was it like back in the day before? I mean, I've been with Real for like, God, I can never remember. It's somewhere between 8 and 9 years. Right, but you've been here since like pretty much, like, I think it was the second year.
Yeah, so it started in 2009, and I was there. I was with Sibel starting in 2010. Yeah.
She'll be coming on soon.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
What was it like back then? Was it very different to it is now, or is it like what was it like? Was it smaller? Was it like there's a lot changed in the time?
A lot has changed. It's like there's, I mean, obviously everything was on paper mandates, you know, so it was a lot more. I suppose there was a lot of background work that was probably more labour intensive because everything had to be scanned and collated and manually entering all this information, and so yeah. And I think also there's a slight difference too in, you know, there used to be a lot more hippies back in the old days.
Hippies.
Yeah, you'd get people that were coming in that would be, they would use fundraising as a launch pad to get further into the charity world. So you know, I knew people that would, that started off as fundraisers that ended up sort of like working, you know, for organising logistics in Africa for Medicine Sans Frontières. There were people that would start as fundraisers and then be kind of like journalists working for Amnesty, and like they would be very, very sort of like involved in that. So yeah, so it's interesting seeing how maybe that's not such a strong force. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know.
Some people still do. Like Kyle's a good example. Kyle Gonzalez. He got into this to fund the fact he wanted to make film and just like film stuff, do editing and stuff like that. He told me personally he wants to be the next Guy Ritchie. In fact, no, he said his exact words:
"I will be the next Guy Ritchie. Through hell or high water." Like
one of it in the podcast I did with him said that it teaches you
how you communicate with people.
Yeah. And we touched on this in Liam's podcast because it's a very good skill to have that people don't really. You'll have to go to classes to learn these kind of skills. Where in fundraising, you learn these and you're getting paid and helping causes at the same time, which is great. So what about traveling? I've spoken to a lot of fundraisers, a lot of directors, a lot of people that's been on this podcast, and everybody seems to have been all over the place, like in all different countries and stuff. What about yourself?
Yeah, fair few. I mean, as you were saying, like just being a fundraiser, charging around the UK, seeing places that I would never have imagined seeing, and that was a real treat back in the day. But yeah, I've been sort of places like, you know, Germany, Spain, France, Belgium. I did do an amazing cruise actually to Norway.
What was that like? I've always wanted to go on a cruise, but I'm just worried about getting seasick and stuff like. Do you not?
No,
feel
it was fine. It was a small ship. It wasn't one of these like massive blocks of flats that move. It was like a proper ship. And obviously just being in the fjords was spectacular. It got rough maybe one day. It wasn't that bad. They have stabilizers, you know, it was okay. I also did another amazing cruise to around Iceland, and that's another amazing place that I've been back to a couple of times. And obviously America, because my partner is on Cape Cod. It's not in Cape Cod, it's on Cape Cod, which is Massachusetts. So I do spend quite a lot of time in the States, which is great.
Out of all the places you've visited, if you could go back there one more time, well, obviously America, you're going to go back there at some point, and Cape Cod. But what about any other places you've been to?
Orkney.
Orkney, where's that?
Island off of Scotland.
Oh, right, okay. Is it one of those little ones up at the top?
Exactly.
Yeah. What was so great about it?
Oh, it's a magical, strange place. Obviously, it's because it's in the middle of the North Sea, but it has a very famous stone circle, which is quite spectacular, and Skara Brae, which is a Neolithic settlement that they found. It was covered by sand dunes, but you got like these little round stone houses with built-in beds and cupboards. But also, the town itself, because I never really spent enough time looking at the town, and actually just getting out of the town too. So it's definitely a place that would be nice to go back to.
I'll tell you what, Rich, I really enjoyed this, man.
Good.
Yeah, you're going to come on again in the future? Because everybody else says yes, so you can't say no.
I was about to say, it's like, you know, if you can think of anything else.
Oh yeah, I obviously can. But I'll tell you what, though, you can have one of these like everybody else.
Marvellous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for coming on. And thank you all for watching. So I've been Dan Roberts. This has been Real Talk. So with respect, ethics, activism and love, thank you for watching and take care.